I've actually made a video on this before, but I feel like it wasn't very well done, because it was like 5 months ago when I first started the channel, and I feel like I didn't get into too much detail, so I wanted to cover this topic again today. You see, with Starfield having over 1,000 planets in 100 different solar systems, we really need to take weather into account. Now obviously Bethesda games have never really gone too in depth with their weather systems. We've had sunny, rainy, normal and storms, and in the Fallout games rad storms. So it's really simple compared to other games, but with Starfield it makes sense to have lots of different weather systems. You see, Starfield is set in our very own universe, with plenty of real-life planets being explorable in the game. You can see Sol here, aka our solar system, along with other real-life solar systems near it. Well, some of these planets have very different weathers compared to Earth. On Venus, for example, it has a very thick atmosphere which keeps the planet at a boiling 900 degrees Fahrenheit, and on top of that it often rains acid, to put it simply. We can see from this picture here in the Starfield showcase that this is the Mars rover, so it's pretty much confirmed that this planet that the character is standing on right now is probably Mars, which means we can visit Mars. Well, again, in real life, Mars often has massive sandstorms. Jupiter, for example, has a hurricane that has been going on for over 4,000 years, according to scientists, and it even rains diamonds. So that just gives you a few examples of how vastly different weather works on other planets. So the question of today's Starfield speculation video is, how will Bethesda handle this kind of weather? Again, we also touched on this a few months ago and a few weeks ago in my Starfield's Most Dangerous Planets video, but I wanted to cover it properly today. So how will Bethesda handle this type of extreme weather, if at all? I for one will be really disappointed if every planet in Starfield has basic weathers, as I personally think that seeing all of these extreme weathers is one of the few things that makes me so excited to play this game and go out and just explore these planets in the game. And obviously there is a very good chance that a lot of these planets will just straight up be unexplorable. I really wouldn't be surprised if when we hover our map cursor over to a planet like, say, Venus, which could cook us alive at a crisp at 900 degrees Fahrenheit, if the game just says planet too dangerous for exploration. But then again, there are some planets like Jupiter that have extreme weather, such as a massive hurricane and raining diamonds, that we could potentially explore. We would just have to be super careful, perhaps needing to evacuate the planet as soon as possible the moment it starts to rain acid, which could damage our ship and our suits, right? It just makes sense for Bethesda to add a really in-depth weather system in Starfield, giving a lot of these 1,000 planets their very own weather systems. Acid rain, raining diamonds, massive thunderstorms, sandstorms, blizzards, and so much more that we probably can't even imagine. And obviously we do know that the team at Bethesda have spoken with people such as Elon Musk and SpaceX in order to try and get a good sense of how to make Starfield somewhat realistic and grounded. Now looking at the ice ball Chowler, we can see a bunch of different information. We can see its type, gravity, temperature, atmosphere, magnetosphere, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, I am dyslexic, but this is essentially the region of particles surrounding the planet or moon, the fauna, which is your animals, and of course the flora, which is your plants, and the type of water, but nothing about weather. Now we can see that we only have 36% of this iceball's information / survey, and there is a little bit of extra room here, so maybe we just haven't seen or scanned its weather yet? Because as I said, it just makes sense for Bethesda to include weather as a big part of these planets, and with this planet, or iceball being an iceball, you would expect that there would be some kind of snow or blizzards. And of course, rewatching the Starfield showcase for, the millionth time in my life, I did notice some different weathers on different planets, but unfortunately nothing too drastic. You can see here on this planet that it looks very sandy and dusty, possibly indicating sandstorms. We have snow here, which you would think indicates some kind of snowy weather, and in fact we can actually see that it has been snowing since the roof on this building here has snow on it. And in this picture we can see the wind turbines that we can build ourselves with Outpost Building, which also have snow on them. And in this shot here we can see, if we look to the sky, it's very cloudy and sort of dark, possibly indicating storms. In this beachy planet we can see a lot of fog, which we also see here on the planet everyone is assuming is Mars. In this shot we can see a sort of green yellowish atmosphere. So again, we see a bunch of different looking planets, but we never actually see any sort of weather, not even rain, and you can bet that we will at least get rain in Starfield. So maybe Bethesda is keeping things under wraps for whatever reason. Maybe at the time they recorded this, they hadn't added weather into the game yet, as we know that some parts of the showcase were recorded at different times, considering the HUD has changed in these two shots. Unless of course we can just customize the size of our HUD, which would be cool. But anyway, so how will Bethesda handle these extreme weathers in Starfield? Well, I think that there are a few options. Option 1 being they just don't let you land on planets with really extreme weathers, which would kind of suck. Option 2 being you can land on the planets but only during safe times, which again isn't a great option. And option 3, they could say that 300 plus years into the future, humanity have just figured out how to create spacesuits and spaceships that adapt to these weathers, which help you survive. So maybe we will need an acid-proof spacesuit when visiting Venus, for example. Or option 4, which I think is the worst option, you can visit these dangerous planets, but there is just no weather at all, and Bethesda just don't bother to explain why. Obviously, I think that would really suck, it just feels lazy, but I doubt that Bethesda will go that route anyway. I mean, either way, I'm sure modders will add super advanced weather into the game, but of course it would be nice to see Bethesda do it themselves. If you ask me, I would say that I think we're going to get a bunch of different weather systems, probably just not as in-depth as I'm hoping. I'm trying to keep my expectations low, but man, I'm excited. Anyway, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Please like the video if you haven't already. It really helps out smaller channels like myself more than you can imagine. And of course, if you do want to stay up to date on Starfield news, leaks, discussions, and plenty of other Bethesda related content, consider subscribing because we cover it all over here. And if you haven't joined our Discord yet, you definitely should. We have plenty of Starfield discussions, Elder Scrolls discussions, Fallout discussions, and so much other stuff. You can recommend video ideas to me, stay up to date on the channel, share your memes, your pet pictures, and so much more. But with all of that said and done, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next one.